Right, hi, I'm Elliot. This is on the Mix with Elliot channel. This is the behind the scenes of the trailer, the launch trailer. We've just shot in Glasgow Green, behind this bit there. I'll put in a wee clip now of me at the studio. There we go, that was fun. So we recorded the bass layer and then we recorded this part here. My friend Rio is here from uni. She's helping out. I wanted an extra person so my stuff didn't get nicked when I was recording, basically. But it seems to have gone well. The weather is holding up, kind of. But yeah, so we got some layers, we got a good take, and now we're going to move to the second location. Well, technically the third if we're counting the studio was the first, but yeah, we're going to move to the barras now and see what the setup's going to be like over there. Alright, so the rain got pretty bad on that second take, so I've just stopped into Cafe Nero. I took a whole thing of Blu-roll and wiped everything down. So I was originally going to record outside the front of the Kelvin Grove Museum, kind of get that in the backdrop like the rest of the ones I've been in. But now I'm going to give a wee Google and see, maybe send an email, maybe call them, and see if I'm alright to just find a quiet place in the gallery and record, because I've been obviously quite a few times and there's a few corners that I can imagine setting up and doing a quick 2-minute recording shouldn't get us in any bother. I'm going to take a look at the website anyway just in case there is anything that says that. But both takes were great. I might need to do a bit of editing on the end because it ends on the chords being played out, and I think other than that, it's fine. The sound is actually really good. Well, nothing was overly windy, which is what I was worried about mainly. But yeah, other than that, good takes. We'll see where we get. We'll see where we go from here. Right, so we've recorded in Kelvin Grove. It actually went so well. We did go in and the organ was playing, so we had to wait a wee bit for that to die down, but got to the spot that I wanted to record in. It was nice and quiet, didn't get hassled by anyone. It didn't say on the website there was no recordings. I think obviously if I'd came in with an amp, it might have been a bit different, but because it was just a wee acoustic guitar, a few security walked by, just took a look, just didn't ask anything, so it went well. We got the recording and it sounds class, so now I'm going to go home and figure out which way about I'm going to edit it. So I don't know whether to edit the videos first to the song or edit the song to the videos. But I'm going to try both because I've got plenty of time and I think I'm a week ahead of the timeline, of the main timeline. I need to catch up on the socials a bit and get more posts out, but other than that, yeah, I'm shooting the gas. You can't see me, this camera, it's doing my nothing. Anyway, cut to whenever I next update the vlog. Alright, so it's been a few days since the location recording. I got it into Pro Tools and had a wee mess about with the mix and stuff like that, but today I'll focus more on the website. I'll do like an overview commentary towards the end of this vlog, just detailing kind of what I've changed and what's new and the way that I'm going about processing things. But yeah, I'm sticking with a theme, got a lovely colour palette sorted. I've wrote up contract, a service agreement contract, and yeah, I'll go more into detail on the website when I get to my OBS recording. I'll do a wee commentary over that, but the mix is coming together and we are very much on schedule. Right, so I've gone through all of the tracks and I've picked out my favourite bits from each location. So they've got the studio, St Luke's, Glasgow Green, and Kelvin Grove. And I've picked out just my favourite parts, obviously, like I've said. Originally, I was going to audio suite each clip so that it would all have its own processing, but I just did my standard kind of acoustic guitar mix on it, and it seems to have worked really, really well. It sounds great. There's none of them. I've normalised the audio levels so that none are too loud or too quiet, and it works really well. So there's a wee time lapse is going to go through me picking up the clips and me doing a bit of editing, but just in terms of the mix itself, I added a plugin called Wider, which really pulled it all out because obviously it's recorded in mono. So there's Wider, there's just EQ, and there's the standard compressor on that, and it's glued everything together. And then I'm using Ozone 9 elements to kind of lift everything. That's the acoustic guitar, the electric guitar, and the bass as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So the next clip will be going through the trailer, like the actual editing of the trailer to the music, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start that just now.
Alright, so today I created the business cards and the t-shirt mock-ups. I did do a bit of research and, obviously getting my pricing and all that through. They're not going to be something that I'm going to be able to present just because they're an extra expense that, at the moment I personally can't finance. But I've found on Instaprint, which is a company that I've used many times before to get QR code stickers to create posters for in shadow and stuff like that. They have a recycled eco-friendly business card, which I will be using once I can afford to get a few. So those are the ones that I'll be using, and I can offset that. The carbon offset, I can choose to do that through the shipping as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. The designs themselves, I just went with something quite basic. I've obviously not got the most graphic design experience, but I just wanted something that's quick, easy. It has the website and all my social media names, and it's going to have I've just put a mock QR code on that, but once the website goes live I can get the actual QR code and put that on there as well. I think going the sticker route with a business might not be the best idea because it doesn't have the highest hit rate that I've found as I've been going through using them for in shadow. But again, the hit rates that they do get, the people that do scan them when it's a song anyway, do listen to the song. I've found that I can see a direct correlation between days that I've seen them being scanned and days that I've got streams. So I think maybe having a few stickers might be beneficial, but again, not every artist is gonna see those stickers kind of thing, and I might just get a lot of people going to the website and not doing anything. So that's kind of a hit or miss at the moment. But the designs I'm really happy with. I like how simple they are. I'm going to shoot them through to all my friends and see what they think about them, get some feedback. The t-shirt designs I made off camera. I say off camera. I'd realised that I'd done it, and then when I was like, oh, let's do the business cards, I was like, I probably should record that. So that's what I've done. But the designs themselves are pretty cool. I quite like them. I went with kind of the box kind of idea because obviously the Mix with Elliot is in its own wee rectangle. So I thought if I put the rectangle and then I get my kind of slogan, professional mixes and masters from Glasgow's finest, and then highlight the box to go over the G as in the Glasgow, that's where the box ends, the kind of outline of it. That's I really like the design. And then those t-shirts as well will be through Spreadshirt, and they are the eco, I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head, but they're eco-friendly. They're recycled cotton and fabric, and again I can carbon offset the delivery because it comes from Germany, so I can carbon offset that through the delivery and through I can't remember the name of the app, but there's quite a few of the ones I've been using through when I'm driving and things like that. I can put the mileage in and I'll pay that through, and it plants trees, stuff like that. It's really annoying that I've forgotten the app. I'm gonna use that to carbon offset those as well until I find a more at home a UK based one, because Spreadshirt, even though it is UK, prints in Germany, so that's kind of not the best in terms of carbon offsetting, but here we are. So yeah, that's what I've done today. I'm going to start putting this video together and collating all my evidence to get that sorted, and everything has gone as smooth as I can. I think I'm going to need to, I'm talking here, so I need to kind of chop down the length of it because this is going to be quite a big log behind the scenes video. So yeah, I'll maybe need to find the actual points that I'm making rather than just talking. But other than that, any questions, if you're a viewer, on how I did certain things, please let me know. Send me a message on Instagram, comment down below. And everything else has just been promotion based so far. So yeah, and the times that I haven't been logging has just been because I've just been doing promotion stuff. Promotion is running as on track as it can, just creating content that's viable. It seems to be doing better on Instagram rather than TikTok. TikTok has been quite stagnant, and I don't know why. I've been trying to change up the content I'm putting on there, but nothing really seems to be sticking in terms of generating followers. I'm getting a lot of views, I'm getting a lot of profile views, but not an awful lot of people are following. I guess that's maybe, if they're not inclined to, like, their interests aren't an engineer or they aren't an artist, then maybe they're saying, why should I follow this person? So that's maybe something that I need to rethink and create a new strategy for. But yeah, that's all I've done today. So either this will be the last entry, or this will be the one of the few entries. So yeah, let's just keep going. Alright, so I started bookmarking where I wanted the transitions to happen, like between the Kelvin Grove and the St. Luke's and the room recording, the studio recording, and Glasgow Green. So I figured out where I wanted those transitions to happen in the actual track, rather than syncing up with the video first and then doing it that way about. So I just started by finding the parts that sounded the best. My plane went a little bit out of time, which I was really concerned about when I was recording. I was like, am I playing this on time? Obviously I had the click and everything with me as I was recording, but my timing was a little bit out on, I think it was the St. Luke's one that was quite out of time. I say quite, but you know what I mean. And the Kelvin Grove one, there was something going on with my tuning. I did tune my guitar before every take, but there's something that was a little bit off. I think it was maybe just the space that I was recording in. And I didn't really take into account the acoustics of, the big floor tiles and all the glass everywhere. So maybe that's why the recording sounds a little bit different. But it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds different. You can notice it as well. So there's a little bit of that issue there. But I just started by going through every part, making the bookmarks for each chord and each change and how I wanted that to happen. And then I made a master track, which was above everything else. So I kind of used the actual tracks like a playlist. And just when I had the right take, I would cut it, obviously put some fades, and I'd just bounce that part up into the main take. My initial kind of idea for mixing it to make sure that everything sounded the same was to go track by track and EQ everything that sounded off or sounded out. If there was too much high end in one take or too much low end in another. I did kind of go through that with a fine comb, but I didn't do it for the whole tracks. I just did it for the parts that I wanted to keep in the master take, if that makes sense. So that everything before going into the initial mixing process had its own shape and identity, and it wasn't too brash or kind of out the way. Like, it didn't sound like immediately like, oh, that's the Glasgow Green take or that's the Kelvin Grove take because this one has too much high end or whatever. Everything sounded like it was cohesive, and I tried to match that before going into it. And then once I had the master take, I added a bit more final EQ and some compression and some saturation, and I added a plugin which I absolutely love and is free, as far as my knowledge is aware. The last time I checked on it, it's called Wider. I can't remember. It's by like Marshmallow or something, or like Alien something. It's an odd brand name, but I highly recommend. It's called Wider, and it takes mono tracks and it just pulls them apart, so they have more of a stereo field. I recorded everything mono purely because I wanted the maneuverability of the one microphone for doing the location recordings. I felt if I had two, then that's another issue with phase I need to take into account. It's another microphone stand I need to carry about. It's another mic I need to worry about. And it's just going to take, it would have took like a lot longer, like quite a substantial amount longer, to set everything up and get a good recording in. So that's why I recorded everything in mono, and I knew that I would use this Wider plugin as well if it came down to it, if everything sounded a bit too narrow. But luckily it didn't sound it, but once you put the plugin on, it sounded, a lot better. So for the end, obviously, I play each chord individually, and for that I took a chord take from every part. So the first one is, I think it's Kelvin Grove, yeah, it's Kelvin Grove, and then it goes to the St. Luke's for the second chord, and then to the Glasgow Green for the third, and then the studio for the fourth and final part. And that was just obviously one of the best ways that I could demonstrate the location of everything and how, everything sounded individually and give everything its own scope. So overall, the editing was quite fluid and easy process to get through. I really thought it was going to be a monumental task, and it did feel it. It was very daunting going into it, but it was nothing that I hadn't done before in terms of comping tracks together, and making sure that everything sounded cohesive from different takes. The only part that I struggled a wee bit was the crossfades and stuff like that, to make sure that, you know, it wasn't totally noticeable. And obviously there's the transition into the strummed part, which from the studio recording was a little bit different. I had it so that it would just naturally go out, but the way that I'd structured it, I had the Kelvin Grove take there, and the Kelvin Grove one, I ran over the silence, so instead of cutting back immediately to the studio, I let that run out and I totally faded it out, which would allow me to have that maneuverability in the edit for the video, so I could fade that out or I could talk over it, which I did end up doing. So I'm quite happy that I did that, and it's just it's a different take on the mix, and it's commitment, which is something that I really like to have in my mixes. I like to have something that, you know, is like a brash, bold kind of statement, to be like, oh, this is what we're doing. You know, if you pan something like hard left and that's all you hear kind of thing, or, you know, recording something like in a location that you have to deal with all of the kind of downsides, or all of the what's the word I'm looking for, the difficult side, the commitment to having, this is how it's going to sound and there's nothing you can do to change that kind of thing. So that's something that I like to do when I'm recording my own stuff. Obviously, if you're wanting a mix and you're not wanting that cement of everything having to be this way, then that's totally fine. It's just something that I like to do personally. For editing the video together, I felt like it was going to be a very difficult task, and I wasn't sure if my DaVinci Resolve skills would be up to it. But for some background knowledge, I ran a YouTube channel for my artist page in Shadow, and I did daily vlogs for the first 100 days of lockdown back in 2020, and that was really the foundation for all of my video editing, although it was very, very basic, and it was just putting this clip with this clip and putting videos and music to it. It gave me a workflow in a way that I knew how to edit things. So if you want to watch what my first 100 days in COVID was like, you can find that on the Shadow channel. But back to editing this, because I did my best to remember to clap before everything to get like a sync. I think I only did it for the Glasgow Green one purely because I just forgot. You know, stress came into an account, which wasn't something I was really thinking would happen. I thought I'd be quite, you know, relaxed and free-flowing in my approach to recording everything, but as soon as I got in and the clouds came over and it looked like it was about to start raining, I was like, right, I just need to get this done, and I need to get a take. You know, we're on a timeline, and at this point I was bang on. You know, there was nothing that kind of pushed me back. In fact, the only thing that pushed me back was my Pro Tools subscription, because I've tried to get a student discount and but Avid wasn't playing ball. But yeah, that pushed me back, I think, only a few days. I meant to record this on a Friday, a Thursday, and I ended up recording on a Monday. So, and the weather was pretty standard for both days. So I was a little nervous about going into it without having a sync shot for only one of them. And I thought it was going to really hinder me. But what I was able to find when I was going through the videos was that you can clearly see, because of the way I've angled the camera and the way that I'm facing the camera with the guitar, you can see when I start to play, which really helped me out. And considering that I chose the first chord of every take for the video to cut to, I knew that as soon as I started playing, that was the part that I needed. So that really lended me a lot of time and a lot of headaches in terms of figuring out what take is, you know, where is it? Is the first chord here? Is it the second chord? Whenabouts is that second chord starting, kind of thing. And again, because of the angle, I can see, you know, my hands. I can see when I transition to one chord from the next and one part to the next. So I really did myself a lot of justice in the way that I set everything up. I didn't storyboard things per se, but I had an idea in my head and I had some notes wrote down of how I wanted everything to look going into the recordings. So maybe I'm not gonna, say that I'm a genius or anything, but subconsciously that was something that I thought about, so I knew that I'd be able to see when each part happened. And initially I was a little wary, I was a little scared of that, really, having the mix through Pro Tools first instead of editing the video to the Pro Tools. I don't know if that's a common approach. I maybe should do some more research into how these kind of videos are usually shot, but I wanted the mix to be the thing that stood out, and obviously the visuals are like one of the other main focuses of it, because it shows where I am in Glasgow, how local I am, and things like that. So having the right approach to each thing, even though I don't think it was the most orthodox way of going about it, I think that my own workflow worked with this, and being able to go, right, well, here's when I transitioned to that chord, and here's when I stopped playing, and here's when I started playing, kind of thing, really helped me out in terms of editing the video to that. And there was nothing really that immediately I was like, oh, I don't know where to go from here, or I'm stuck, or I'm lost. The only time I think that really happened was just trying to get the perfect timing on the fade out between the arpeggiated chords, like the strum, the picking part, and then into the strumming part. That was a bit finicky, going from the Kelvin Grove to the studio, and then incorporating the electrical elements, the electric guitar and the bass guitar that I recorded in the studios on Cumbernauld, New College Lanarkshire campus. I didn't want the whole video to be, the same shot of me sitting in the studio when it was the parts of that. So I recorded obviously the solos for the bass and the electric guitar. I don't think the bass had a solo, but it has its limelight in the video, and that was something that I really wanted to kind of hammer home and add a bit more flair. I did kind of want to go the approach of having different parts of the video on top of it, so you could maybe see me playing in Glasgow Green and you could see me playing in Kelvin Grove at the same time on screen. Again, because I went through the Pro Tools approach of getting the mix sorted first, that didn't really come into light, because initially I thought about doing, maybe the left is Glasgow Green and your right ear, your left ear is Glasgow Green, your right ear is Kelvin Grove, but that just would have taken so much longer in outlining the way to go about that and mixing that, because then obviously both of them have to be level. Like, there's no room for any error, and there's no room for phase to come into account. Like, if that's off, if the recording was bad, then I'd have to go back and record that again. So if it's something that you would like to do, if you're a potential client listening to this, then cool. I definitely could do that, but we just have to make sure the conditions are pristine and perfect and we get everything right. And obviously, being on the timeline that I was on, I didn't want to take that risk. Obviously I can go back and experiment with the mix, which is something I plan to do once I release everything. I'm just going to go back and mess about with that session and see what other things I can come up with. So yeah, that's another thing that I thought about. But in terms of editing the video together, it was pretty straightforward. The thing that took the most time was the commentary and the subtitles for that. And I had a little bit of experience with this before. As an artist, I made a music video for one of my songs called First Aid, and that was just a very, very basic music/lyric video, and that was the first time that I'd used subtitles in DaVinci Resolve, so I kind of knew where to go and what the parameters were for that. But something I didn't take into account, which I probably should have, was the lighting of everything, because obviously that's not something I really think about much. That's not something that comes into play. So what colour to make the font and how big to make the subtitles and things like that was something that I really didn't take into account. It became a point of friction as I was editing the video, because I was like, how do I make sure it stands out? How do I make sure it doesn't blend in? You can read it and it's legible at the same time. So it just came down to making parts bolder than others, changing the colour from blue to white, which is the Scotland flag, and kind of part of my branding is the grey, the black, the blue and the white. So I wanted to kind of highlight that in the video itself. And yeah, other than that, it was pretty straightforward, pretty good, easy process. I was able to find a font that matched my brand identity in DaVinci. If I couldn't do that, I did have a few websites I was going to just take a font from that matched the Canva font I've been using. And yeah, it was a pretty straightforward process. So we'll move on to the website now, because I think I've said in a few clips before that we're going to go over the website on this. So let's get on to that. The video was pretty straightforward in my editing, pretty straightforward in Pro Tools, and all the challenges that I faced, I was able to overcome quite quickly. So let's go on to the website. Alright, so here is the website, and obviously in preview mode because I'm filming this 2 days before it launches. But I've changed up a bit of the look from the previous version. This now is blue and white rather than the black and grey. And I've changed obviously a bit of the font. I've got a more unified font. As you can see, everything's the same. I can't remember the name of it, but it's all the same font. I've got this lovely photo of me during COVID recording some guitar, and then this more current one with big beard, and the SSL2 as well. And yeah, I've got a nice wee blurb, a bit of a more about me section, a bit of my music taste, why I love music, and how long I've been mixing and mastering for, kind of thing. And then we've got the social media kind of explanation about the trailer. I'm still pretty split when I first put the trailer up at the top here, like under the get to know me, and then everything else. I might do that. I might mess about with that. I know obviously I'm going live in 2 days, so I might do that later on today, but I just wanted to get this recorded so you're getting a good idea of how the website looks and how that came about. This was based on a website that I made last year. I was only active for a few days. I had a few clients, and then I shut it down as a part of my HND. Just didn't have the time for it this time last year, but now finishing up with uni, it's my aim and my goal to be self-efficient and self-sustaining, and mixing and mastering is what I love to do. So yeah, hopefully I can make a career out of it, which ideal. So yeah, that's the about one. My mixing part, mixed by me, my work. This part's gone through a lot of titles. I like my work. I like what that kind of situates. Here's another photo of me in SSL2. I think that was the same day as the last photo. But yeah, so I've got this, which is obviously a personal song by me, as I go by Shadow for my artistry. So I think I can play this and it'll come through OBS. Yeah, it should be coming through. It might be a bit loud, so I do apologise. I don't know if I can. That's obviously the before mix, and then we've got the after mix. So that's been mixed and mastered, so I maybe should put after mix and master. That's maybe more of a suitable title. But I got raw stems from Cambridge Music Tech, which is a website that I've used all throughout my college and uni career. But obviously on them they say you can't use this for any commercial or revenue gain. So I thought I'd put a wee blurb just saying the raw mix stems I found on this website and are used for educational purposes, and copyright is held by the original owners. Also, I don't own any of the copyrights, and I don't gain any revenue from people pressing play and then stopping and starting kind of thing. So we've got obviously the title of the song and the artist, and that's just the way through. These are I just googled like the name and the artist, and these are the cover arts that came up. I'm guessing this is a photo of Moose Music, the two guys. I've forgotten their names now. That's not ideal. But yeah, so I've got obviously the before and after mix for all of these tracks, and they're all very different. This is a kind of I want to say a rockier pop track, and then this is obviously a pretty heavy rock, American rock track. And then Reflection is quite a more indie kind of laid back psychedelic kind of track, and I only mixed the 30-second snippets that you have rather than the full songs, because I didn't want to you press before and it's 3 minutes of unmixed vocals. That's not ideal, so that's why I did that, and it let me get through the mixes really quickly in a more palatable way. So I was able to get all of the mixes done in about 3 or 4 days. Keep going back to them, sending them to my friends, other engineers, and be like, what do you think of this kind of thing? So I was getting more industry kind of feedback and tips on each mix, people that mix these genres more often than not. And I wanted to show that I can do a lot of genres so I don't pigeonhole myself, because I feel now, you know, especially starting out, there's nothing really I should say no to in terms of mixing. You know, if someone's not happy with it, then I can keep going back and keep making revisions. But if I say I only mix metal, you know, I'm not very big in the metal scene at the moment, so I need to go through all of those people. But I think if I open myself out and then from there start honing in on, you know, maybe more refined genres, I think that's going to be a more palatable way of shaping my career and shaping, you know, what clients and what amazing people I bump into, and, you know, create some really good work for. Which is, at the end of the day, that's all it is. I just love music, and I love mixing. It's yeah, I could do a whole video on that alone. But next we've got the deliverables page, so people can deliver me to their track through the Dropbox that I've got set up, either the full session or just the stems. Obviously there'll be a price difference between the two, and you'll notice there's no pricing on anything. There will be a £25 or a £50 deposit depending on the scale and size of a track, but that's like the only one that I'm going to make knowledgeable to people going in. That'll be one of the first things I say, and that's kind of how that's going to have to go, because I need assurance that you're not going to just, you know, I'm going to do all this work and then you're just not going to pay me. I need to have something. You know, it's a two-way street kind of thing. So people can, I've got a nice explanation of, you know, full track session. You know, if someone's just got a track recorded in Pro Tools and they're not that weird about it, then, you know, we got that, and I've got a walkthrough that I can take clients through to get, you know, make sure that they deliver everything. Do you know what I mean? So people have like samples in their song and it's not in the folder, and they deliver me the folder, and then like, where's that song? Where's that, you know, sound effect or something? You know, that's it. It stops all that hassle and that communication slipping through the cracks. So track stems, full track session, and obviously I'll talk about that more in a call as well with you. Then we've got the booking call. We've got the nice consultation call form. Put your name, email, information on the track and project, a URL to, you know, your Spotify, your Apple Music, and then references. So if you've got a song that you've recorded and you're like, oh, I really want it to sound, I like elements from, you know, this Lil Peep song, or I like elements from this Johnny Cash song, or, you know, well, that was quite a big leap that I took there, but you know what I mean. If you've got references and you've got things that you like, I can listen to that before we go into a call, so I'm not going in totally blind as to what kind of idea and what kind of sound you're wanting to create and sculpt. And then I've got nice dates here. It's set up through, so on my Wix, so it only lets you pick a Wednesday, a Thursday, or Friday. I've found having classes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and as well as my part-time job, it's allowed me to really focus on my uni work this year, and still get a good amount of shifts in my part-time job. Previously it was all a bit kind of all over the place, which is why I shut down the website last year. So yeah, I'm only available Wednesdays through Fridays. Obviously that's a little different if someone's wanting, you know, to meet up in Glasgow. Probably could, you know, work more around that schedule, because at my work I can say when I'm free and when I'm not. So Wednesday, Fridays for calls is ideal, and obviously ideal as well for meeting up in town. But you know, there are workarounds to that if I've got enough time in advance to do that. I also got a bit of outside the, you know, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time zone, because I've noticed I've got quite a few American followers, and I've hit those audiences on, you know, Instagram ads and stuff like that. So if that's there, that's stayed for them, so that I know I need to wake up, you know, a couple hours earlier or a couple hours later. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I've got quite a solid booking form here. And you click submit, you'll get an email straight away, and I'll be able to schedule the Zoom call and get all that sorted ahead of time. And then I personally will send an email saying, right, that's what's booked in, I'll see you then, kind of thing. So yeah, and then I've got an equipment list as well. I'm currently not going to be taking any clients, you know, because I still live at home with my parents. So, you know, it doesn't feel the most professional setting. But then again, if we really click with someone, then, you know, you're more than welcome to come over. But I just wanted to put this here just so people know kind of what I'm working with. The plugins list could have just kept going, so I kind of named like my favourite ones and just left that there. Obviously the microphones I have and the DAWs that I'm running. Ableton 11 is kind of in a grey area at the moment. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. I need to get that totally sorted out. But if a client has an Ableton session and they want me to work in Ableton, I'm more than able to do that. Obviously I'd maybe prefer I get the stems from that track, but if there's certain elements that they want me to kind of, you know, go over with a fine comb and sort that for them, then I'm more than happy to figure that out and get that working for them, so we can get the best sound and they have the most easy experience working with me. Also got a mobile version as well, and yeah, it's just the same on mobile. Click it here, go through here. All this should be sorted. So yeah, that is the website. It goes live on the 25th of April 2023, and I'm more than happy with it. I really like how it looks. I like the language, I like the design, and yeah, that is all. So I think that's us. This might be quite a long video, might have to cut this up, but yeah, let's go to a more proper outro. Alright, so we are a week since the website and the trailer went live, and currently, statistic wise, we were at 87 overall sessions, 75 unique visitors, which is really, really cool. So that means quite a few people have gone back to look at the website and look at stuff. And the video on YouTube is on 95 views. That's only on YouTube. I can look at the statistics for how many times it's been played through the website. And it's about every time someone loads onto the website, it'll view, because obviously it preloads when you go to the About page, which is the first page. It's the home page. So yeah, definitely over 100 views total. The ads on Instagram they're doing really, really well. TikTok is quite a different way that they use advertising in terms of like paying for it. You buy like credits and you use the credits to pay for your adverts, but the credits go from like £15 will get you like 3 days or something like that, and then anything over that is like 50, then 80, then 100, which is just way out budget. So yeah, not doing that. But on Instagram, in the last 30 days, we have reached 5,400 accounts, which is crazy. 10% obviously are 10% of them are followers, and we're at 85 followers on Instagram. So yeah, that's not 10%. But basically, of the 5,400 we've reached, 5,300 aren't following, you know, give or take. So hopefully by the hand-in date for all this stuff, we'll have 100 followers on Instagram. TikTok has been kind of stagnant. I've been posting the same content over there, but it's just not been getting the same kind of attention, which is interesting because usually Reels and TikTok are like hand in hand in terms of like the algorithm stuff. So I'll need to figure that out obviously for the future. But yeah, 5,400 accounts reached in the last 30 days is pretty crazy. And that's with like the lowest amount of money going into the ads, that, you know, because it's what I can afford at the moment. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the website looks, what feedback I've got from it. I reached out to Luke North Recordings, and he gave me some feedback quite quickly. And he's from Texas, which is crazy. And the engineer that I reached out to from Glasgow is yet to get back to me. And I've sent a DM on Instagram and an email. The DM was a follow-up to the email. But yeah, he's yet to get back to me. So that's what it is. I've also reached out to Shane Lance through his website. He's an engineer in Atlanta, in America. So I'm hoping that he gets back to me fairly soon. And if not, I'll send another follow-up DM on Instagram, maybe TikTok as well, because I know that's where he's quite active. But his TikTok and Instagram content is really consistent, and relates to both, like, you know, the promotion side and the website side of things. So yeah, I thought I'd do a wee recap. A week after the website and the trailer have gone live, we're basically there for all of our targets, except for TikTok, which, you know, is annoying. I've tried my best, but nothing really seems to be sticking at the moment, so I really need to do a deep dive on the content that I post on there for the future. So I think I said that the last entry was going to be the last entry, but I think this will be it as well. So any other questions about my process, you can leave them in the comments below. I'm going to collate all my evidence, and yeah, that has been it. That's been the Mix with Elliot launch, and yeah, I'll see you soon.